love that intro. Hi, everyone. I am Kristin Hancock. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can see I am here with my friend Marie. We're going to get to all kinds of information about Marie in a minute. I am also joined by a mysterious overhead voice. Many of you might know him, Chuck Ghost, my partner in life and work, and the mysterious producer on the back end of this live broadcast. So shout out to him and thank you to him for handling the technical producer side of things. He's also taking care of our chat. So I would love for people who've joined us to chime in the chat, tell us where you're from, tell us maybe if you've done any breath work or meditation work before. I would love to hear that. I'm sure Marie would as well. Before I get too much into that, we are here obviously as part of ICology, so thank you for joining us. ICology is a community built by internal communicators for internal communicators. We are a wonderfully inclusive, fun bunch. You can learn more at joinicology.com. You can follow us at Join ICology on all social media. We are all over the internet. So welcome, Marie. Before we go any further, I am so honored to introduce Marie to this wide group of our internet friends. Marie and I met through another community called Fearless Brands with our friend Greg Monaco. And Marie is a fellow Canadian, so of course, right off the bat, she holds a special place in my heart. Well, she's in Montreal. Are you? No, you're in Toronto now. You were born in Montreal.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto now. Yeah.
Wonderful. Marie has one of the greatest titles I've heard. She calls herself a badass breathwork facilitator and instructor, among many other things that we will get into. Marie, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are?
Thank you, everyone, for having everyone here. I'm so excited to be here. I have, we don't know each other for years, but it feels like we have. And I love your stand for what you do, and I love the fact that you bring people together. And I want to thank Chuck also for being the man behind the curtain today, making sure that all the levers are pulled the way they need to be. And here's a little bit about me. I'm a Wim Hof Method Level 2 certified instructor. And what does that mean? It means that I know how to help people blow stress off out of their body back into the atmosphere.
Literally.
Yeah, and we also help people understand why cold helps the body and what it does for the immune system and the nervous system, because the nervous system is your on and off switch to pretty much everything that goes on in your body, including your immunity. So when I talk to people about being an inner peace coach or a badass breath class instructor, I've worked with thousands of people, taught them how to breathe. And the commonality right now that's going on for many is we're not feeling okay in our own skin. We're feeling like something's just sort of, just kind of scratching at us or pecking at us. And we don't have that deep, deep calm. Most of the time, we're really uncomfortable with uncertainty right now. And so that's where we come in at ICology, and that's where I come in to help people understand that they can start to really reconnect with their own internal power, because the answers really aren't out there. The answers are in here, and we've just forgotten. So I'm here as a gentle reminder, delivering a more powerful, more accessible 24-hour technique that you can use anytime, anywhere. That's fun.
And don't you think, Marie, that the last year and a half, I will say at this point, has cracked a lot of that open, meaning folks likely were in states of extreme stress leading up to all of the events, the pandemic, and all of the other things that have happened in this last year and a half. And I think it's cracked open, like you said, the fact that people don't have healthy coping mechanisms and don't have the tools to reduce stress, bring themselves down to a state of calm. I don't think people even know what a state of calm is in many cases anymore.
Well, that's a really beautiful point. And you know what? I mean, I've been like that in the distant past in my life too. When we're already sort of up to here with tasks and deadlines and jobs and families and other things. And then when something like this happens, it pushes many people over the edge. And if we don't have existing coping strategies that are deep and useful and varied, then we're going to run into some major challenges of just getting up and completing the day and feeling like we have some autonomy. So the thing is that a lot of people constantly go to one strategy to try and solve all problems. It's common for a lot of people. However, in this situation and in many other situations that can be coming down the pipe in reality, because when we look through history, this isn't just one random thing that's going to happen and then be over and then life's going to go back to great all the time everywhere. We know that that's not going to be the case. So what we want to do is have more than one coping strategy, more than one peace strategy, more than one conflict resolution strategy, because not one thing is going to fit every situation. Kind of like clothing. You don't wear one thing all the time for everywhere. It just doesn't.
We absolutely do not, Marie. You are correct. And I don't think we have people even listening from one area. We've got little notes here. People listening in Louisville. Adrian, I had to learn how to say Louisville. It was one of the things about me becoming American, was learning how to say that city name. So welcome, Adrian. I know Adrian is relatively new to the internal comms world. Oh, Gabriel, welcome. Yes, you are in San Francisco, a beautiful city. Oh, and he's correcting his own spelling. That's very internal comms of you. That's very communications marketing of you, correcting our own spelling. We are doing a session with Marie exclusively for ICology members on Monday, and we're going to be doing a full breathwork workshop. And I'm so excited for it, and I know our members are so excited for it. Leading up to this, Marie, you were gracious enough to do a session with Chuck and I, and just the two of us and you, and we did an hour-long breathwork workshop session with you. And Chuck made the comment after we finished everything that people expect this kind of topic session from me and not necessarily from him. And he's absolutely right. And one of the comments that he had that I'll share with people is that he has been operating at such a level of heightened stress that he's gotten used to that. And I think that's true for many professionals, many people, but especially people in our industry. Our baseline of what we think is a normal, acceptable level of stress is way off the charts.
Yes. So let's look at it with another kind of really easy comparable thing. Over the past year, or let's just take any year, for example, some people like to soothe through eating or distraction or social situations, shopping, watching shows, media, all those things. And then all of a sudden, when we go to the doctor one year for a physical or we step on a scale, we're like, ooh.
Yep.
What happened? I thought everything was kind of like going along well, just like last year. And so when we have that contrast, when someone actually shows you, hey, like, this is what's not really working, this is what calm really looks like, then you can take a look at everything that you've been doing and say, oh, okay, well, I see that this feels different than what I was feeling an hour ago. Maybe something needs to be looked at. And sometimes when we have a crisis, God forbid, then that's sometimes the contrast that people sort of have and realize. But what we want to do is we want to really show people that they have options and choices and actions that they can take before that happens. We don't want those kind of your body sending you messages like that in those moments, and we don't have to get that far. I think it's important to know that your body has patterns. Like, we sleep all the time, and we know that we should sleep, but many of us don't sleep enough. And the science is really starting to show that some of the things that we are doing in this society that we have in this culture really is counter to basic health. So sleep is one of them, hydration, stress for sure, because I mean, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that today, but also breathing patterns. So sadness has a breath pattern in your body, and happiness has a breath pattern in your body, and your cells. The job of your body is to read your environment and then make chemicals according to that. And so either what we're doing is elevating our immune system, or it's disempowering and suppressing our immune system, or deregulating our immune system. It's as simple as that. So when we actually have to face it and look at it and talk about it in an open, loving environment, then we can look at it and really pick apart what's not working so that we can be stronger, more happier, more resilient, and then people are going to want to be around us.
Right. We will want to be around ourselves as well.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. The interesting, I'm a big proponent of talk therapy, and have been for many years. And I've now recently spent time looking at there's the intellectual mental game of that, not game. I don't mean that in a bad way, but
Yeah.
the work of that. But there's also a physical body element to healing and calm. And I think if you are someone who, even if you're not physically active, if you have physical pain somewhere in your body, chances are you'll pay attention to it, right? The other day I finished a workout and part of my knee was hurting. Okay, so I must have been doing some movement incorrectly or relying on the wrong muscle, and I've got pain there, so I need to make an adjustment next time. Maybe I'll put some ice or heat on it, whatever it is. And I think we have some level of comfort with that. But I love what you're saying about paying attention to other signals in our bodies our bodies are trying to tell us this is not working for you. And some of them are subtle, and I think some of them aren't subtle. We're just not used to picking up on them.
Right. So we use our mind and our brain way too much for information gathering and for drawing conclusions. You and I and everyone else listening here know that some of the beliefs or the thoughts that we have, weren't true.
Yeah.
Like our brain isn't the most reliable source of extracting and filtering in information.
Nope.
And so we're giving it too much power. We're spending too much time thinking here from the control and the reasoning, because that's part of wanting to feel safe, is wanting to have control of everything all the time. It's kind of an illusion, but we like to operate from that place. But the most important thing that I want to leave people with for this specific topic here is that the mind thinks and the body knows. The body knows, and the body's language is feeling. And so when we're pushing down feelings, we're never going to feel better. We're never going to feel better if we don't get better at feeling things, because that's really the language of the rest of the system, right? Because your heart doesn't know what the number 10 is. Your glutes don't know what 50 squats are. Your mind knows that. Right. Your mind knows that. So it sounds ridiculous, but really, when we're using this so much to operate from everything, it's kind of less faceted than all the power of who you really are, all the tools that you really have access to, and all the ways you can plug back into the world and your environment and other people, your coworkers, your family, and yourself. Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's more nuanced. Okay, someone's got some comments. Oh, yoga. Yes. Yep. It's interesting you say that, Adrienne, because the day after Chuck and I did a session with Marie, the next morning, once a week, I do a yoga class. And it was that morning that I did this yoga class, and focusing on my breathing made a huge impact in I don't want to use the word success, because that's not a very yoga friendly term, but in my practice that next morning, it allowed me to move more fluidly, hold poses longer, all of that stuff, which is all good for the body. So yes, Adrienne, I agree. There's a definite connection between the breath work part, the body work part, whether that's even I imagine, Marie, you can weigh in on this one. I imagine even if you are doing some kind of physical activity that is more intense than yoga, like if you are weightlifting, if you are a marathon runner, I imagine there's a breathwork component to those activities as well.
1000%. And so because I mentioned I'm a Wim Hof method instructor, if anyone wants more information about that, they can take a look at the website, wimhofmethod.com. And Wim has deep roots in yoga. Like what we do, we don't talk about yoga too much, but yoga really is about the breathing. It's about going inward. Because as I mentioned before, like where is happiness? Where is it? We chase it all the time. And then, where is pain? We're running from that all the time. And we're going to get tired if we consistently try to chase pleasure and avoid pain. We're missing out on some beautiful learning moments. We're missing out on what life has to offer, because the fun thing about life is that we get to experience all of it. We get to experience, falling down. We get to experience getting up. We get to learn from loss. We get to experience wins. And that's what makes life richer. So if we're avoiding components of these life pieces, ingredients, if I can say that, then our life gets smaller. And running away from things will always make your life smaller. It won't help you get control of it. It'll just really deflate the potential of who you really are. And by the way, if you're avoiding things, other people will want to avoid things too, because they're going to pick up on your energy field. So if we want to talk about quantum science, which we won't get into today, this is really now what the shift is, coming from Newtonian physics into quantum model. Science is always evolving. So we have to be open to moving through that, because we talked about this a little bit before. Like, where is the end of reality? Reality is always growing and changing. There's no end point. We must keep evolving. We must keep evolving for ourselves in our work environment. I mean, we only advance when we are open to new ideas. And if we're not open to new ideas, then we're really just slowing down progress, and we're slowing down ourselves, and we're denying ourselves inner peace and love and happiness.
Yeah, it's a state of stagnance. Oh, Erica Goodwin is a friend and colleague of ours, and she would like to do yoga with our dog. Well, Erica, anytime I am doing yoga at home, it is always with the dog, because so here's an interesting point. I'm going to bring this around here. Marie, we're talking about energy fields. I am convinced that animals pick up on animals and children, we know, pick up on energy more than adults do, because we suppress it all the time. And I'm telling you, every time I do yoga, that dog is laying on the mat with me on the floor, and he just passes right out. I think he's like, oh, this is a nice state of calm. I'll hang out here.
I love that.
So if we have another proper breath and weightlifting and flying trapeze. Okay, there's a whole other conversation that needs to happen about flying trapeze, because Gabriel, if this is something that you're involved in, we need to hear more about this at some point. So thank you for sharing. I want to bring this to the workplace, because keeping this useful for folks who are stressed at work, and also recognizing now, what is the workplace, right? Is your workplace might be an office that you're going back to, but for many people in our industry, it's not anymore. It's their house. And maybe that's great. Maybe that's an awesome, flexible way for people to work. But I think we would be very naive if we make the assumption that just because you are working from home, you automatically have more calm or less stress, or something like that. And so one of the things I loved about the breath work that we've done so far is that it's a tool that's available to you anytime, anywhere. And so there are millions of examples, but can you share how that's applicable in a workplace, whether it's an office or you are sitting like I am and you are at home at a desk somewhere?
Totally. And I love that question. So the way we measure stress is in the blood. Okay. That's the one way that we can measure it for sure. And we know that through the vagus nerve, which is one of the biggest nerves in your body, it's bidirectional, which means your brain talks to your stomach actually talks back up to your brain through the vagus nerve. It's the biggest nerve in your body, and it also is responsible for heart rate variability. We don't have to get into that, now that's something else, but really, when we're not breathing and we're not feeling calm, our entire body functions differently, and the state of our blood is different also. So I'm going to roll back a little bit on what you said when you talked about dogs and yoga. Dave Asprey has posted some. He talks about this often because he can reference studies on this. And this is what I love about science, which I also touched on, is that when we're more coherent, when we breathe and we feel more grounded, we change and shift our blood. What that does is it also changes and shifts our electromagnetic field. We can measure that now, so that when we are more coherent from the brain and the heart, because that's beautiful, because we all want to feel good. But what that does really is it changes the entire electromagnetic field of our body, so that if we happen to get in touch with another animal or come into proximity. The study was done with a horse. The horse's electromagnetic coherence and the person syncs up. And we've been able to measure that through equipment now. So this isn't imaginary, and this isn't hopeful thinking. This is science, and this is data. And when we breathe, we're able to create coherence. So what does that mean in a workplace? There's probably no horses where you work right now.
Probably not, but it would be cool if there were.
There could be a dog here and there, but really, what does that mean? When we're stressed, we're not open to listening to new ideas. It's an us and them mentality, right? I have to keep my own corner of the world safe because I don't trust. I'm not open. It's not okay to digest. It's not okay to be creative. So when we're doing breath exercises, what we'll be doing on Monday is a box breathing. You can do it anywhere. You can do it anytime. Creates beautiful heart-brain coherence that you can measure. This brings you to a place of, oh, well, let me hear more about that. Oh, well, let me consider that idea, even though it's not mine. Oh, a new person. Hey, come on into this beautiful environment. Oh, yeah, my environment is changing, but you know what? I trust myself a little bit more today. So I think I'm just going to roll with whatever's coming at me.
Oh, I love that.
Surprise project change.
That's never happened before in the world of internal communication.
Yeah, this could work. In fact, it might even be better because I trust my team. So you see where this is starting to go. And when we trust ourselves, we're open to trusting other people. So I mentioned maybe this to you before. When I'm unhappy, I'll commit random acts of kindness as a response to my not okayness, which is what's going on in the world, because I know that's the energy that I want to bring. So when we're bringing and responsible for the energy to a room, other people feel it. We already know that. And so that helps create more coherence, more acceptance, more listening, better listening, more inclusion, more creativity, and you're going to eat that beautiful lunch and digest it better.
Yeah, I love the creativity part. I know is so key. Yeah. Okay, Erica is referencing one of my favorite books now, The Body Keeps the Score.
Right.
And I have not heard the podcast interview. Oh, maybe I have heard of this on her book, A Radical Awakening. I have not read that, but I have read The Body Keeps the Score. That was a huge opening for me about the connection between mind and body. Not that I questioned it before, but I think to Marie's point about the availability and the diversity of tools that you have in your wellness toolkit, that therapy was always a very easy go-to for me. I am in a position where I have the privilege to be able to afford therapy because that's part of the challenge with that and accessibility of it. But recognizing that that is one tool, and that tool may work, and it may work really well a lot of the time, but it's so helpful to have other tools, because on top of that, if I'm in a meeting at work and it's very stressful and I leave there and I'm almost in tears, I probably can't call my therapist at the drop of a hat. Maybe you can, and that's wonderful, but that's not how it works. So the breathing is, you don't need anyone else there. You don't, it's accessible to you anytime. If you have a moment to use the bathroom at work, you have a moment to do breath work at work. Is that fair to say?
I would say that everyone's heard everyone say when someone's like panicking, just breathe. We already we hear it all the time.
Right.
It's not just a saying, everybody. Like, this is actually a scientific fact that through a slow diaphragmatic exhale out the mouth, you can get to calm pretty quickly and you can reset your system. Yeah. So even though it sounds ridiculously simple, like, oh, this is too simple, it can't be true, that's your mind actually trying to make it harder than it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a video the other day. There's a woman that I actually follow on TikTok, of all places. She has a daughter who I believe is 6 or 7 years old. And she was sharing a story the other day about how her daughter was moody, cranky, having a day. And mom says to her, like, what's going on? Can you tell me what's wrong? And she says, no, mommy, I don't want to tell you what's going on, but can we breathe? Wow. Because this mom that's part of her parenting, is that when you're really stressed out, we take some deep breaths. Which is, as you said, everyone, take a deep breath, right? We all say that, and we somehow have made it into this thing that can't possibly work. It's far too simplistic. But this child understood that when she sits with her mom, whoever, and breathes, she feels better, right? and she'll calm down. She might still be upset about whatever it was that upset her, but she can process that from a calmer state than taking it out on whatever. It was so fascinating to me that this child didn't necessarily want to use language, but she was okay using a body technique, a breathing technique to work through it.
That's right, because breathing is the language of the body. And and that's, again, like making it as simple as possible. Like, we don't have to make life so hard to feel like we've won, right? I mean, it's one way to do it, but it's tiring and exhausting. And here's something that I want to mention. We talked about multiple tools and multiple resources to get to calm and to get clarity in your life. So therapy is really important. It also helps us work through, things, thoughts, challenges, all those things. But breathing doesn't require that part of the thinking mind.
Right.
Think about it this way. When we're sleeping, we don't get up in the middle of the night to check to make sure everything's there and that it's okay. We have full 100% trust in everything until we wake up. Like, we don't check our phone in the middle of the night. We don't check our bank account. We don't call people to ask them things. Our job is to sleep. And so we're pulling some of that nighttime trust into the daytime when we're practicing these breath exercises, because we're not using the prefrontal cortex. We're trying to empty the mind, because the body's like, I'm kind of tired of Kristin thinking or Marie thinking all the time. I'm kind of tired of like Chuck running around doing can we just stop for a second? Because for sure, it's the daytime, but we need more energy to do other things, right? The body has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of processes every second. And when we distract, when we overwork, when we wind our body up too much, when we don't give our cells what we need, there's going to be a cause and effect at some point, because either we're healing ourselves or we're breaking the body down. And at some point, your system will let you know. And and we want to really kind of, as intelligent people that want to live a quality life, right? A high quality life, we want to have an honest conversation with ourselves to really see where our baseline really is, because you can build the most beautiful foundation, which is your body, to create a beautiful life. But if you don't have that foundation, what is the quality of your life going to be really long term? You want that foundation of that house to be solid. And what you just suggested, also therapy like that, and breathing and proper sleeping, it all ties together to create a life that's worth living long term.
And if you are someone who wakes up at night to check your bank account or check your email, then you really need this. Is what I think what we get from you. Really need to start with some breath work to create a better foundation.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So this whole conversation leads into this session we're doing on Monday with ICology members. So you do need to be a member to participate in this. However, you can be a member anytime. JoinICology.com has all of the links and information that you need. Members.joinicology.com is actually where you would sign up. And there's a 2-week free trial that we always do. So if you're curious about this workshop, this would be an ideal time to sign up, to get your 2 weeks for free. You participate in the workshop with Marie. I know that everyone is going to get so much out of it. It's something that Chuck and I met with you, was it a week ago now, maybe 2 weeks? And we are using this breath work and, just to calm. And when something hits us and blindsides us, as life does very often, it's a great tool for both of us to have together, but also separately. Marie, you are so lovely. I'm so grateful that you took this half hour with us today. Up on the screen there, you saw Marie's Instagram. Really the Instagram follow is key. I love the content that you got on Instagram. So please, I encourage everyone to follow Marie on Instagram at marie.bodine. Website as well. We will see all of our ICology members on Monday for a session. In the meantime, again, please sign up. Thank you everyone for joining us live today. And thank you again, Marie, and enjoy the rest of your Thursdays. Thanks everyone. Take care.
Bye now.